The forcing function. Engineering yourself into discipline. Part 1. The willpower lie. Chapter 1. Why you keep failing. A man sets his alarm for 5 a.m. Tonight is the night. He's going to change his life. He has decided. This time is different. He is motivated. He is ready. He has read the books, watched the videos, made the commitment. The alarm sounds. His hand reaches out from under the covers. Hit snooze. Just 5 more minutes. The alarm sounds again. Another hit. And again. He wakes at 8 a.m. Sunlight streaming through the window. The day already started without him. Defeated before the day begins. He tells himself, tomorrow. Tomorrow I will have more willpower. Tomorrow I will be stronger. Tomorrow I will actually do it. He has been telling himself this for 6 years. Here is what no one told him. Willpower was never the answer. It was always the problem. He was using the wrong tool for the job, like trying to cut steel with a butter knife and blaming himself when the knife breaks instead of recognizing he needed a different tool entirely. This is the story of almost everyone who has tried and failed to build discipline. And if it is your story, you need to understand something fundamental. You have not been failing because you are weak. You have been failing because you have been operating on a lie. The willpower myth. Let me show you what I mean. We have been sold a story about discipline. It goes like this. Discipline is about trying harder, wanting it more, being tougher, digging deeper, finding that inner strength and forcing yourself to do what needs to be done. In this story makes intuitive sense. It feels right. It appeals to our sense of personal responsibility and individual strength. And it is almost completely wrong. This model makes failure a character flaw. When you fail, the explanation is simple. You are weak. You did not want it badly enough. You are not disciplined enough. You are not the kind of person who succeeds. The failure becomes evidence of your deficiency. But here is what the research actually shows. And I mean actual peer-reviewed research, not motivational mythology. Willpower is a depletable resource. It runs out. Every single day, for every single person. Study after study confirms this. Willpower functions like a muscle. When you use it, it fatigues. By the end of the day, there is almost nothing left. And this is why you can resist the donut in the morning, but not the ice cream at night. This is why you can focus on difficult work at 9 a.m., but cannot resist scrolling social media at 9 p.m. This is why your discipline is highest at the beginning of the day and lowest at the end. Not because you are weak, because willpower depletes with use. Every decision you make consumes willpower. Every temptation you resist consumes willpower. Every distraction you ignore consumes willpower. By evening, the tank is empty. And here is the critical insight. The most disciplined people do not have more willpower than you. They do not have some superhuman reserve of self-control that you lack. They have better systems. They have structured their lives so that discipline does not require willpower. They have engineered their environment, their schedule, their commitment so that the disciplined choice is the easy choice, the automatic choice, the default choice. They are not stronger than you. They are smarter than you. Let me show you why traditional approaches to discipline fail. The first approach is the motivation model. This is waiting until you feel like doing the thing, until you are inspired, until you are excited, until the moment feels right. You will never consistently feel like it. Motivation is an emotion. Emotions fluctuate. Some days you will feel motivated, most days you will not. If your discipline depends on feeling motivated, your discipline will be sporadic at best. The second approach is the resolution model. Grand declarations. I am going to lose 50 pounds. I am going to wake at 5 a.m. every day. I am going to write a book. These declarations feel powerful in the moment. They create a burst of energy and intention. But declarations without structural support collapse under the weight of daily reality. Willpower cannot sustain what systems do not enforce. You announce you are going to wake at 5 a.m., but your phone still charges next to your bed. Your alarm is still within arm's reach, where you can hit snooze without fully waking. Your evening routine still has you going to bed at midnight. The declaration changed nothing about the structure of your life. So the structure of your life overrides the declaration. The third approach is the punishment model. Beating yourself up after failure, calling yourself weak, feeling shame, using that shame as motivation to try harder next time. This is counterproductive in the most literal sense. Self-criticism depletes the very resource you need for future success. It drains willpower. It increases stress. It makes the next attempt harder, not easier. Shame is not fuel. It is poison. The fourth approach is the information model, the belief that you fail because you do not know enough. So you read another book, watch another video, take another course, accumulate more knowledge. But you already know what to do. You know you should exercise, you know you should eat vegetables, you know you should wake earlier and work on your goals. Knowing is not the problem. Knowing has never been the problem. Implementation is the problem, and information does not solve implementation. All of these approaches fail because they are fundamentally willpower dependent. They require you to be a better person, to have more strength, to try harder, and willpower is the wrong tool. There is a different approach, the engineering approach. Engineers do not hope bridges stay up. They do not rely on the bridge's motivation to remain standing. They do not punish the bridge when it shows signs of stress. They design the bridge so that it cannot fall down. They use mathematics, materials, and structure to make failure impossible. This is what you need to do with your behavior. Forcing functions are design elements that make failure impossible or significantly harder. They remove choice from the equation. They make the desired behavior automatic or the undesired behavior nearly impossible. A car that will not shift out of park until the seatbelt is fastened is a forcing function. The car does not trust you to remember to buckle up. It does not rely on your willpower or your good intentions. It makes buckling up a requirement for operation. The question changes entirely when you adopt the engineering mindset. Instead of, how do I make myself do this, you ask, how do I make not doing this nearly impossible? Instead of, how do I become more disciplined, you ask, how do I design a system where discipline is the path of least resistance? Instead of treating yourself as someone to be motivated, you treat yourself as a system to be designed. This is the fundamental shift. Your future self is not more disciplined than your current self. Your future self will have the same weaknesses, the same temptations, the same tendency to take the easy path. Design for who you actually are, not who you wish you were. Assume you will have zero willpower. Build systems that work anyway. This is not pessimism. This is realism. This is engineering. Think about it this way. If you were designing a system that an undisciplined person had to use, what would you build? You would not build something that required constant vigilance and heroic effort. You would build something that worked even when the person was lazy, tired, distracted, and unmotivated. That undisciplined person is you. At least sometimes, at least in the evening when willpower is gone. Build for that version of yourself. Here is the truth that no one wants to hear. Discipline is not a character trait. Discipline is not something you have or do not have. A discipline is not about being tough or strong or committed. Discipline is architecture. It is the structure of your environment, the design of your day. The systems you build that make certain behaviors easy and others hard. The disciplined person is not someone with superhuman self-control. The disciplined person is someone who has engineered their life so that discipline does not require self-control. They wake early not because they are morning people, but because their phone charges in another room and their alarm is across the bedroom, and the consequences of not waking are real and immediate. They eat healthy not because they have amazing willpower around food, but because there is no junk food in their house and meal prep is done every Sunday, and eating unhealthy requires active effort. They exercise consistently not because they love exercise, but because they have a trainer who shows up whether they feel like it or not, and they have money on the line, and their gym is between home and work. They are not better than you. They have built better systems than you. And systems are learnable. Systems are implementable. Systems are the tool that actually works. You have been trying to cut steel with a butter knife. You have been bringing willpower to a systems fight. The disciplined life is not achieved through heroic effort. It is engineered through intelligent design. Stop trying to be a better person. Start building a better system. This is not giving up on yourself. This is finally using the right tool. Everything that follows in this audiobook is about that tool. How to design it, how to build it, how to implement it, how to maintain it. You are going to learn to engineer your environment so that discipline is automatic. To engineer your time so that important work happens without decision. To engineer your commitment so that failure has real consequences. To engineer your entire life so that the person you want to become is the person the system produces. Not through willpower, through design. The man who could not wake at 5 a.m. for 6 years is going to learn that the alarm was never the problem. The willpower was never the problem. The system was the problem, and systems can be fixed. Let me show you how. Chapter 2. The forcing function defined. In 1987, Chrysler faced a problem. Drivers were destroying their transmissions by shifting into reverse while the car was still moving forward. This was expensive. Transmissions were failing. Warranty claims were piling up. Chrysler had options for how to address this. They could have launched an education campaign, billboards, commercials, owner's manual inserts explaining the importance of coming to a complete stop before shifting into reverse. They could have put warning stickers on the dashboard, bright red labels reminding drivers not to shift into reverse while moving. They could have included a stern warning in driver's education courses, but none of that would have worked. Because the problem was not that drivers did not know they should not shift into reverse while moving forward. The problem was that in moments of distraction, hurry, or carelessness, they did it anyway. Knowledge was not the issue. Behavior was the issue. So Chrysler did something different. They installed a mechanism that made it physically impossible to shift into reverse above a certain speed. The transmission would not engage. You could pull the shifter all you wanted. Nothing would happen. Problem solved. Not through changing human behavior. Not through education or awareness or trying harder. Through making the wrong behavior impossible. This is a forcing function, and it is the most powerful tool for personal transformation that most people have never heard of. Let me define it precisely. A forcing function is any mechanism that makes a desired behavior easier or an undesired behavior harder. It removes choice from the equation. You do not decide in the moment. The system decides. It works because it does not rely on willpower. It does not rely on motivation. It does not rely on memory or good intentions or being in the right mood. It works because it operates at the level of environment and structure, not at the level of intention. You cannot shift into reverse while moving forward, not because you remember not to, but because the car will not let you. That is the power of the forcing function. Now let me show you the 4 types of forcing functions and how they work. Type 1. Elimination functions. This is the most powerful type. You remove the option entirely. If there is no junk food in your house, you cannot eat junk food at home. The choice has been eliminated. At 9 p.m., when willpower is gone and you want ice cream, the ice cream does not exist. You would have to get dressed, get in the car, drive to the store, buy the ice cream, drive home, and then eat it. That is a lot of friction. Most of the time, you will not bother. The elimination function is no junk food enters the house. The decision is made once, at the grocery store when willpower is high. Not every evening when willpower is low. Other examples: delete social media apps from your phone. You cannot scroll what is not installed. If you want to check social media, you have to reinstall the app. That friction is often enough to break the compulsion. Cancel subscriptions to services that waste your time. You cannot watch Netflix if you do not have Netflix. You cannot play video games if you do not own a gaming console. The elimination function is brutal in its simplicity. Remove the temptation. Problem solved. Type 2, friction functions. This is making the undesired behavior harder without eliminating it entirely. You keep your phone, but you keep it in another room while you work. You can still check it, but you have to get up, walk to the other room, and make a conscious choice. That friction is often enough. The behavior is not impossible, just inconvenient. Other examples: website blockers that require you to type a complex password to disable them. You can access the distracting website if you really want to, but you have to type a 30-character random string first. Most of the time, the friction stops you. Gym clothes that have to be packed the night before. You can still skip the workout, but you would have to actively unpack the bag you already prepared. The friction of reversing your previous decision creates resistance. The friction function works by exploiting human laziness. If something is hard, we often will not bother. So, make the wrong behavior hard. Type 3, commitment functions. This is creating external accountability or consequences. You prepay for training sessions. Now, if you do not show up, you lose money. The cost of failure creates pressure to follow through. You make a public commitment. Tell your friends, your family, your social media following that you are going to do something specific. Now your reputation is on the line. The social cost of failure motivates compliance. You give money to a friend with instructions to donate it to a cause you hate if you do not meet your goal. The pain of losing money to something you oppose is often stronger than the discomfort of doing the work. The commitment function works by making failure costly. When failure is free, it is easy. When failure has consequences, you find a way to succeed. Or type 4, automation functions. This is removing the behavior from conscious decision entirely. Automatic savings transfers. The money moves from checking to savings on the first of every month. You do not decide to save. Saving happens automatically. Meal prep completed every Sunday. You cook all your meals for the week in one batch. During the week, you do not decide what to eat. You eat what is already prepared. Calendar blocks that cannot be overwritten. Your most important work is scheduled in advance. When the time comes, you do not decide what to work on. The calendar tells you. The automation function works by making the desired behavior the default. Defaults are powerful. Most people take the path of least resistance. Make the right path the path of least resistance. Now here is the critical insight about these 4 types. They exist in a hierarchy. Elimination is the most powerful. If you can eliminate the wrong behavior entirely, do that first. If you cannot eliminate, add friction. Make it harder. If you cannot add sufficient friction, create commitment. Make failure costly. If you cannot create adequate commitment, automate. Make the right behavior happen without decision. The less willpower required, the better the system. Your goal is to move as far up this hierarchy as possible for each behavior you want to change. Do not just make junk food harder to access. Eliminate it from your house entirely. Do not just make your workout a commitment. Automate the preparation so showing up is frictionless. Layer these functions on top of each other. Elimination plus friction plus commitment plus automation creates a nearly bulletproof system. Here is the design principle that underlies all of this. For every behavior you want to change, ask yourself, how can I make the wrong choice harder and the right choice easier? Not, how can I convince myself to make the right choice? But how can I engineer the situation so the right choice is the obvious choice? Small environmental changes produce large behavioral changes. Think about how much energy you spend resisting temptation, resisting the urge to check your phone, resisting the urge to eat unhealthy food, resisting the urge to skip the workout. All of that resistance drains willpower. And willpower is limited, but if you eliminate the phone from the room, you do not have to resist. If you eliminate junk food from the house, you do not have to resist. If you create commitment around the workout, resistance becomes less relevant. The forcing function does the resisting for you. You are not weak. You are just operating in an environment designed for failure. Your phone is designed to be addictive. Social media is engineered to capture your attention. Junk food is formulated to be irresistible. Your default environment is working against you. The forcing function is how you fight back, not with willpower, with design. Chrysler did not ask drivers to be more careful. They did not trust drivers to remember. They did not rely on education or awareness. They removed the possibility of error. You must become the engineer of your own behavior, not through self-improvement, through self-design. The forcing function is your blueprint of the mechanism that makes the wrong behavior impossible or the right behavior automatic. This is not a trick. This is not a hack. This is how discipline actually works for people who sustain it long term. They do not have more willpower than you. They have better forcing functions than you. And forcing functions are not a gift you are born with. They are a skill you learn and a system you build. Everything that follows is about building that system, about installing forcing functions in every domain of your life until discipline stops being something you do and starts being something that happens automatically. Not because you changed who you are, because you changed the system you operate in. The forcing function is the tool that actually cuts steel. Let me show you how to use it. Part 2. The Architecture. Chapter 3. Engineering Your Environment. A recovering alcoholic moves to a new city. He is starting over, new job, new life, new chance. He has been sober for 6 months, the longest stretch in 10 years. He knows the statistics. Most relapses happen in the first year. He chooses his apartment carefully. Not the nicest one, not the cheapest one. He chooses based on location. The apartment is not within walking distance of any bar. The nearest liquor store is a 15-minute drive. There are no convenience stores nearby that sell alcohol. He does not keep alcohol at home, not even cooking wine. Nothing. He does not socialize with people who drink heavily. His new friends are from AA and the gym. His social calendar is structured around activities that do not involve bars. He does not rely on willpower to stay sober. He has engineered an environment where drinking requires significant deliberate effort. 5 years later, he is still sober, not because he has superhuman self-control, because he is smart. He designed his surroundings for success. Then he let the surroundings do the work. This is environmental engineering, and it is the foundation of sustainable discipline. Let me show you the principle. You are a product of your environment far more than you are a product of your intentions. This is not opinion. This is neuroscience. Research shows that environmental cues trigger behaviors automatically, below the level of conscious awareness. You see the cookie jar, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation. And before you have consciously decided anything, your hand is reaching for a cookie. The cue triggers the behavior. No decision involved. This is why the cookie jar on the counter gets eaten and the cookie jar in the basement does not. Same person, same cookies, different environment, different behavior. Change the environment, change the behavior. No willpower required. So here is what you need to do. You need to audit your environment with ruthless objectivity. Walk through your living space, your workspace, every environment you inhabit regularly. Ask one question. What does this environment make easy and what does it make hard? The phone charging next to your bed makes midnight scrolling easy. It makes quality sleep hard. The guitar in the closet makes practice hard. The guitar on a stand in your living room makes practice easier. The junk food at eye level in the pantry makes unhealthy eating easy. And the junk food not being in the house makes unhealthy eating hard. The gym bag by the door makes working out slightly easier. The gym bag in the back of your closet makes working out harder. Every object in your environment is either supporting your goals or undermining them. There is no neutral. Now let me show you how to engineer your environment for specific goals. For better sleep, elimination function, phone charges in another room, not next to your bed. You cannot scroll what is not within reach. Friction function, blue light blocking glasses required after 8 p.m. You can still use screens, but you have to put on the glasses. The friction is usually enough to reduce screen time. Automation function. Bedroom temperature automatically drops to 67 degrees Fahrenheit at 9 p.m. Research shows this is optimal for sleep. You do not have to remember to adjust the thermostat. It happens automatically. Automation function. All screens have blue light filters that activate at sunset. You do not have to remember to enable them. They turn on automatically based on time. For focused work, elimination function. Dedicated workspace with no entertainment options, no TV in the office, no gaming console, just work tools. Friction function. Website blockers active during work hours. You set them once. They run automatically. If you want to access blocked sites, you have to disable the blocker, which requires entering a complex password you have made deliberately hard to remember. Elimination function. Phone in a timed lockbox during deep work sessions. Physical box that will not open for 2 hours. You literally cannot access your phone even if you want to. Friction function. Standing desk that defaults to standing position. You can sit, but you have to manually lower the desk. The default is standing, which is better for focus and energy. For healthy eating, elimination function. No processed food in the house. None. If you want it, you have to leave the house to get it. Automation function. Meal prep completed every Sunday. 4 hours on Sunday produces all meals for the week. During the week, you do not decide what to eat. You eat what is already prepared. Friction function. Healthy food at eye level in the fridge, less healthy options below. You can eat the less healthy food, but you have to bend down to get it. The healthier choice is the easy choice. Friction function. Smaller plates. Research shows people eat less from smaller plates without feeling deprived. You are not restricting food. You are restructuring the default portion size. For exercise, friction reduction. Gym clothes laid out the night before. You wake up and the clothes are already there. You do not have to think or decide. You just put them on. Friction reduction. Gym membership at a facility between home and work. You pass it twice daily. The proximity makes stopping in easy. Distance creates friction. Closeness removes it. Commitment function, prepaid training sessions. You have already paid. If you do not show up, you lose money. The financial commitment creates pressure to attend. Automation function. Morning workout time blocked on calendar is non-negotiable. Every Sunday evening, the entire week gets blocked. When morning comes, you do not decide whether to work out. The calendar has already decided. These are forcing functions at the environmental level. Each one removes a decision point. Each one makes the right behavior easier or the wrong behavior harder. Now let me show you two critical principles that make environmental engineering even more powerful. The proximity principle. The closer something is, the more likely you are to do it. Want to read more books? Keep a book on your nightstand. Keep your phone in another room. When you go to bed, the book is right there. The phone is not. Reading is the path of least resistance. Want to practice an instrument? Keep the instrument on a stand in your main living area. Not in a case, not in a closet. On a stand where you see it and can pick it up without any barrier. Want to drink more water? Keep a water bottle on your desk, always visible, always within reach. Of the proximity makes hydration automatic. Distance creates friction. Use it strategically. Make the things you want to do close. Make the things you want to avoid far away. The visibility principle. Out of sight, out of mind is neurologically accurate. Make good choices visible. Make bad choices invisible. The fruit bowl on the counter gets eaten. The vegetables in the crisper drawer rot. Same house, same person, different visibility. Your environment is constantly cueing behavior. Visual cues are the strongest. What you see regularly is what you think about. What you think about is what you do. So curate visibility intentionally. If you want to exercise, make your gym shoes visible when you wake up. If you want to eat healthy, make healthy food the first thing you see when you open the fridge. And if you want to work on creative projects, make your tools visible. The sketchbook on the desk, the guitar on the stand, the journal on the nightstand. If you want to avoid social media, make the apps invisible. Delete them from your phone, or at minimum, move them off the home screen into a folder you have to search for. What is visible gets done. What is hidden gets forgotten. Your environment is not neutral. It is actively shaping your behavior every moment. The question is whether it is shaping you toward your goals or away from them. Most people live in environments that were designed by accident, by convenience, by what was on sale or what looked nice or what happened to be there when they moved in. Those environments were not designed to support discipline, so they do not support discipline. You need to become the architect of your environment. Deliberately, strategically, ruthlessly, walk through every space you control. Ask, what behavior does this space encourage? Then modify, eliminate, add friction, relocate, make visible, make invisible. This is not optional. This is foundational. Because here is the truth. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your environment. The disciplined man does not live in a chaotic environment and overcome it through willpower. The disciplined man builds an environment that makes discipline the path of least resistance. Then he lets gravity do the work. Engineer your environment. Everything else gets easier. Chapter 4. Engineering your time. A CEO manages a $2 billion company. She oversees 3,000 employees across 14 countries. She makes decisions that affect millions of people. She does not decide each morning what to work on. Her calendar decides. Every hour is pre-allocated. Every block of time has a designated purpose. When 9 a.m. arrives, she does not ask herself what she feels like doing. She does not evaluate her options. She does not weigh priorities. She looks at the calendar and executes. At 9 a.m., the calendar says, strategic planning session. So she does strategic planning. At 11 a.m., the calendar says budget review. So she reviews budgets. At 2 p.m., the calendar says team meeting. So she meets with her team. Her willpower is not spent on decisions about what to do. Her willpower is reserved for execution, for the actual work, for the hard thinking and difficult conversations and complex problems. The calendar handles everything else. This is temporal engineering, and it is why she accomplishes more by noon than most people accomplish in a week. Let me show you the problem this solves. Every decision depletes willpower, even small decisions, especially small decisions. What should I work on right now is a decision. What should I eat for lunch is a decision. Should I check my email or finish this report is a decision. The average person makes approximately 35,000 decisions per day. Most of them are small. Most of them seem insignificant, but they add up. Each decision is a small withdrawal from your willpower account. By evening, the account is empty. Your ability to make good decisions is depleted. Your ability to resist temptation is gone. This is why you can be productive in the morning and completely unfocused by evening. Not because you are lazy, because your decision-making capacity has been exhausted. The solution is to pre-decide, to make decisions in advance when willpower is high so you do not have to make them in the moment when willpower is low. This is temporal engineering, the systematic pre-allocation of your time so that decisions are eliminated. Let me show you the core system. Time blocking. Every hour of your day is assigned a purpose in advance. Not just work hours, every hour. You do not decide what to do when the hour arrives. The calendar tells you what to do. No blank space. Blank space is where distraction lives. Blank space is where you make decisions. And decisions deplete willpower. Even rest is scheduled. 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. relaxation is a time block. You are not being lazy. You are executing your calendar. Here is how this works in practice. Sunday evening, you sit down with your calendar for the upcoming week. You block out every hour. Sleep blocks, work blocks, meal blocks, exercise blocks, family blocks, recreation blocks, everything. Be specific. Not work, but write chapter 3 of book. Not exercise, but gym, chest and triceps workout. The more specific the block, the less decision-making required when you arrive at that hour. Now let me show you the most important type of time block, the non-negotiable block. Certain time blocks cannot be moved for any reason. These are your highest priorities, your non-negotiables, your workout, your deep work on your most important project, your time with your family, whatever matters most. These blocks are marked as non-negotiable. When someone asks for that time, and the answer is always the same. I have a commitment I cannot move. You do not say, I am busy. That invites negotiation. You do not say, I would rather not. That invites pressure. You say, I have a commitment. Period. And you do not negotiate with yourself either. The block is the block. You do not move it because you do not feel like it. You do not skip it because something else seems more urgent. The non-negotiable block is exactly that, non-negotiable. This is how important work actually gets done, not by hoping you will find time, by blocking the time and protecting it like your life depends on it. Now let me show you 2 rituals that multiply the power of time blocking. The startup ritual. The first 60 to 90 minutes of your day follow the same sequence every single day. No decisions, no variations, just execution. Example sequence. Wake. Hydrate with 16 ounces of water. Move for 10 minutes. Meditate for 10 minutes. Review calendar and plan for 10 minutes. Begin deep work block. Same sequence. Every day, no exceptions. Why does this work? Because the most dangerous decision point in your entire day is, what do I do first? That question opens the door to distraction, to email, to social media, to low-value work that feels urgent but is not important. The startup ritual eliminates that question. You do not decide what to do first. You execute the ritual. And because the ritual is consistent, it becomes automatic. Your brain stops questioning it. You just do it. The ritual also creates momentum. Starting well creates a psychological advantage that carries through the entire day. The shutdown ritual. The last 30 minutes of your workday follow a consistent sequence. Review what was accomplished. Capture any loose ends. Make a rough plan for tomorrow. Close all work-related applications. Physically leave the workspace if possible. This creates psychological closure. You have permission to actually stop thinking about work. Without a shutdown ritual, work bleeds into evening. You nominally stop working, but your mind keeps churning. You check email one more time. You think about tomorrow's problems. You never fully disengage. The shutdown ritual is the boundary. Work ends here. Recovery begins here. Recovery is not optional. It is required for sustained high performance. The shutdown ritual protects recovery by creating a clear end to the workday. Now let me show you some advanced implementation strategies that make time blocking even more effective. Calendar blocking in practice. Sunday evening, block the entire upcoming week, not just Monday, the whole week. Be as specific as possible. Write Chapter 3, Section 2. The commitment principle is better than right. Include transition time. 10 minutes between blocks for bathroom, water, mental reset. Humans need transitions. Build them in. Protect deep work. Your most important work gets scheduled when your energy is highest. For most people, this is morning. Do not waste prime mental hours on email or meetings. The 2-hour rule. No task requiring focused cognitive work gets less than a 2-hour block. Constant task switching destroys the ability to do deep work. Context switching has a cost. Research shows it takes 23 minutes to fully return to a task after being interrupted. If you switch tasks every 30 minutes, you never achieve deep focus. You are constantly in the switching penalty phase. So protect depth. If it matters enough to do, it matters enough to get 2 hours. If it does not get 2 hours, it does not matter. Delete it or delegate it. Batching. Group similar tasks together. All phone calls on Tuesday afternoon. All email processing at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. only. All errands on Saturday morning. Why? Because every time you switch contexts, you pay a cognitive cost. Switching from writing to calling to email to planning is exhausting. But doing all calls in one batch means you enter call mode once. Your brain optimizes for that task. You become more efficient. Same with email. Same with errands. Same with any category of work. Batch ruthlessly. Your efficiency will multiply. The parking lot. During focused work, thoughts and tasks will arise. I need to call John. I should check on that order. Did I respond to that email? These are distractions, but they feel important. So you act on them, breaking your focus. Instead, use a parking lot. A simple note page. When the thought arises, capture it without acting. Write, "Call John about project," and return to your work immediately. This removes the cognitive load. You do not have to remember it. It is captured, but you also do not pursue it and break your focus. During a designated block later in the day, process the parking lot. Make the calls, send the emails, handle the tasks, but not during deep work. Deep work is protected. All of this, the time blocking, the non-negotiable blocks, the rituals, the batching, the parking lot, serves one purpose: to eliminate decisions about time so that willpower can be reserved for work. You are not managing time. You are engineering time. The disciplined man does not wake up and hope he uses his hours well. He has already decided days in advance exactly what each hour will produce. When decision is removed, only execution remains. And execution, unlike decision, can become automatic. This is how the CEO runs a $2 billion company without burning out. This is how productive people produce consistently without relying on motivation. Not through superior willpower, through superior systems. Time is your most finite resource. It cannot be created or stored, only allocated. Allocate it in advance. Protect the allocation. Execute the plan. Everything else is just hoping time will manage itself. It will not. Engineer your time. Watch your output multiply. Chapter 5. Engineering your commitments. A writer has been trying to finish his book for 3 years. He has the outline. He has half the chapters drafted. He knows what needs to be written, but he cannot finish. He sets deadlines for himself. He breaks them. He sets new deadlines. He breaks those too. The book remains unfinished. Finally, he tries something different. He gives a friend $5,000 with explicit instructions. If I do not deliver a completed manuscript to you by December 1st, donate this money to a political organization I despise, an organization whose values I find reprehensible. Do not give me the money back. Do not negotiate. Just donate it. The friend agrees, and the writer finishes the book by November 15th. 2 weeks early, the stakes made the outcome inevitable. He did not become a better writer during those months. His discipline did not magically improve. His willpower did not increase. He became a writer with something to lose. And loss is more powerful than gain. This is commitment engineering, and it works when nothing else will. Let me show you the principle. When the cost of failure exceeds the discomfort of action, action becomes inevitable. Most goals fail because failure is free. There are no consequences. You said you would wake at 5 a.m., but you did not, and nothing happened. You said you would exercise 5 times this week, but you only went twice, and nothing changed. Failure cost you nothing except a vague sense of disappointment that fades by the next day. When failure is free, failure is frequent. Commitment devices create consequences. They make failure expensive. They introduce real stakes. This is not motivation. This is mathematics. The brain performs a cost-benefit analysis. If the cost of failure is higher than the cost of action, the brain chooses action. Let me show you the types of commitment devices you can use. Financial commitment, money at risk if you fail. There are platforms designed specifically for this, BeMinder, StickK, and others. You set a goal, you define success metrics, you put money on the line. If you hit your goal, you keep your money. If you fail, you lose it. Or you can do this informally with a friend, give them money. They hold it. You meet your commitment, you get it back. You fail, they donate it to somewhere you hate, or they keep it. The amount must hurt. $20 is not a commitment. That is spare change. It will not move behavior. $500 is a commitment. $1,000 is a serious commitment. The amount needs to be large enough that losing it would be genuinely painful. Loss aversion is a powerful force. Behavioral economics research shows that losing money feels approximately twice as bad as gaining the same amount feels good. This asymmetry is your leverage. Use it. Social commitment, public declaration of your goal. You tell people what you are going to do. The more specific and public, the more binding. I am going to get fit is weak. It is vague. It is unverifiable. No one will hold you to it. I am completing a marathon on October 15th. I have registered. Here is my training plan. I will share my progress weekly is strong. Now your reputation is at stake. If you quit, people know. If you succeed, people celebrate. The social pressure works in both directions. This works best with people whose opinion you value. Announcing your goal to strangers on the internet has minimal effect. Announcing it to your close friends, your family, your colleagues creates real pressure. Reputation is a form of currency. Commitment devices put that currency at risk. Identity commitment. Declaring who you are, not just what you will do. This is subtle but powerful. I am trying to write more is weak. It frames writing as an aspiration, not an identity. I am a writer is strong. It is a statement of identity. Writers write. If you are a writer and you are not writing, there is cognitive dissonance. That dissonance creates pressure to resolve by writing. Same with I do not eat sugar versus I am trying to avoid sugar. I am trying leaves room for failure. It is aspirational. I do not is identity. It is a statement of who you are, and people generally act in accordance with their stated identity. This only works if you actually believe the identity statement. You cannot fake it, but when you claim an identity publicly, you create pressure to behave consistently with that identity. Environmental commitment. Making the commitment physical and irreversible. Paying for a year of gym membership in advance. Now you have financial skin in the game. The cost is already incurred. Not going wastes money. Signing up for a race before you can actually run the distance. Now you have a deadline. The race is happening whether you are ready or not. The commitment forces preparation. Buying the equipment before you have the skill. You spent money on a guitar, it would be wasteful not to learn to play it. The purchase creates pressure to use the thing you bought. This works because humans hate waste. We hate losing money on something we do not use. The sunk cost fallacy, which is irrational in many contexts, becomes useful here. You have invested. Now you feel compelled to get value from the investment. Structural commitment. Building the goal into your life structure in a way that creates obligations to others. Hiring a personal trainer who shows up at your house 3 mornings per week. Now, if you do not work out, you are not just failing yourself. You are wasting the trainer's time. You are disrespecting someone who drove to your location to help you. Social obligation is powerful. Most people will show up for others even when they would not show up for themselves. Joining a team that depends on your presence, a sports team, a band, a study group. Now your absence affects others. The commitment is no longer just to yourself. It is to the team. Creating partnerships where someone is counting on you. A writing partner who expects pages. A workout partner who will be at the gym whether you show up or not. A business partner who needs your contribution. When others depend on you, failure is not just personal, it is social. That additional weight usually tips the scale toward action. Now let me show you how to design effective commitments, because poorly designed commitments fail. The specificity requirement. Vague commitments are unenforceable. Exercise more cannot be measured. Did you exercise more? Compared to what? What counts as more? Exercise 5 times per week for 45 minutes minimum can be measured. You either did it or you did not. Define exactly what success looks like. Define exactly what failure looks like. If you cannot measure it, you cannot commit to it. If you cannot verify it, the commitment has no teeth. The consequence requirement. The consequence must be real and proportional. Too small, you can easily absorb the loss. $20 to someone making 6 figures is irrelevant. It will not change behavior. Too large. The stakes are so high that you will find ways to cheat, or you will abandon the system entirely because the pressure is unbearable. The sweet spot. Painful enough to motivate, not so painful that you sabotage. for most people. This is somewhere between 1 week's discretionary income and 1 month's discretionary income. Enough to hurt, not enough to ruin you. The verification requirement. Someone or something must verify that you completed the commitment. Self-reporting is unreliable. We lie to ourselves, we rationalize, we make exceptions. A personal trainer confirms the workout happened. A writing partner confirms the pages were delivered. An app with tracking confirms the habit was completed. Unverified commitments decay into wishes. Verified commitments remain binding. The exit prevention requirement. Once you have committed, you cannot easily uncommit. The money is already sent to the friend. You cannot get it back by canceling the commitment. You can only get it back by succeeding. The announcement is already made. You cannot unsay it. You can only fulfill it or be known as someone who failed to fulfill it. The trainer is already hired. You paid in advance. Canceling loses the money. The escape hatch is closed. The only way out is through. This prevents the most common form of commitment failure, changing your mind when it gets hard. When there is an easy exit, you will take it. Remove the exit. Force yourself forward. Burn the boats. There is only forward. Here is what people misunderstand about commitment devices. They think needing external commitment is a sign of weakness. It is not. You are not weak for needing external commitment. You are human. Even the most disciplined people in history used commitment devices. Oaths, vows, contracts, public declarations. They understood that internal commitment is unreliable without external reinforcement. The Spartans would train together, fight together, die together. The social bond created commitment. No one wanted to be the one who failed his brothers. Religious orders take vows, public vows, witnessed vows. The vow creates binding commitment. Business contracts exist because agreements without enforcement are unreliable. The contract makes the commitment legally binding. This is not a new idea. This is ancient wisdom being applied systematically. Engineering your commitments is not a crutch. It is how the game is actually won. Do not hope you will follow through. Create conditions where failure is more costly than success. Then watch yourself succeed. All Part 3, The Execution. Chapter 6, The Implementation Protocol. A productivity researcher spent a decade studying why some people transform their lives while others read the same books, attend the same seminars, consume the same information, and change nothing. Same information, different outcomes. The difference was not knowledge. Everyone had the knowledge. The difference was not motivation. Many of the people who failed were highly motivated. At least initially, the difference was implementation protocol. Those who had a systematic method for translating intention into installed behavior succeeded. Those who relied on inspiration, motivation, and hoping they would follow through failed. Here is the protocol, the step-by-step system for moving from where you are to where you want to be. This is not theory. This is engineering. It follows a sequence. It requires phases. It demands precision. Phase 1, the audit. Days 1 through 3. Before you can improve, you must measure. Before you can measure, you must observe. Track your actual behavior for 72 hours. Not what you think you do, what you actually do. When do you wake? What do you eat? How do you spend each hour? When do you check your phone? How much time goes to focused work versus distraction? Write it down. Every hour. What you did. No judgment. This is not about feeling bad about your current state. This is data collection. Most people are shocked by what they discover. The gap between perception and reality is enormous. You think you work 8 focused hours per day. The data shows 3 hours of actual focused work and 5 hours of meetings, email, and distraction. Or you think you eat relatively healthy. The data shows you snack constantly and consume twice as many calories as you estimated. You think you sleep 7 hours. The data shows you are in bed for 7 hours, but actually sleeping for 5.5. Perception is unreliable. Data is truth. Track for 3 days. Get the truth. While you are tracking behavior, also track failure patterns. Where have you tried to build discipline before? What specifically happened when you failed? What triggered the failure? Time of day, emotional state, environmental cue, social situation? Write it down. These patterns will repeat unless you design against them. If you always skip the gym when you are tired and you are always tired in the evening, then scheduling evening workouts is designing for failure. The pattern will repeat. If you always break your diet when you are stressed and you get stressed 3 times per week, then relying on willpower during stress is designing for failure. Your failure history is your design specification. It tells you exactly what to engineer against. Also, during the audit, conduct a resource inventory. What do you actually have available? Time, money, relationships, tools, skills? What constraints exist? Work schedule, family obligations, physical limitations, financial limitations. Be honest. Do not design a system for fantasy you. Design for actual you. If you have 2 hours of discretionary time per day, do not build a system that requires 4 hours. It will fail. If you have $200 per month of discretionary income, do not build a system that costs $500 per month. Design within your actual constraints. Phase 2, the design. Days 4 through 7, now you have data. Now you design the system. Start with goal specification. 1 primary goal, not 5. 1. Trying to transform everything at once guarantees failure. You have limited willpower, limited attention, limited implementation capacity. Pick the one goal that matters most, the one that will have the largest positive cascading effect on the rest of your life. Make it specific, measurable, time-bound. Lose weight becomes lose 20 pounds by June 1st. Get fit becomes complete a half marathon by October 15th. Write more becomes complete first draft of book manuscript by December 31st. If you cannot measure it, you cannot know if you succeeded. If you cannot know if you succeeded, you cannot design forcing functions around it. Redesign the goal until it is measurable. Next, forcing function selection. For this goal, which forcing functions will you install? At minimum, 1 elimination function, 1 friction modification, 1 commitment device, 1 automation. Write them down. Be specific about implementation, not eat healthier. That is not a forcing function. Eliminate all processed food from house. Meal prep every Sunday, smaller plates. Commitment, $500 to friend, lost if I eat fast food more than once per week. Those are forcing functions. Specific, implementable, measurable. Next, environment modification. What physical changes will you make to support this goal? What will you remove from your environment? What will you add? What will you relocate? Be specific. A reorganized kitchen is too vague. Saturday 10 a.m., remove all junk food from pantry and fridge, donate or discard. Sunday 3 p.m., grocery shop for meal prep ingredients, place healthy snacks at eye level in fridge, specific actions, specific timing. Next, time architecture. What time blocks will you create or modify? What becomes non-negotiable? What gets eliminated to make room? Build the actual calendar, not in your head. In your actual digital or physical calendar, if you are adding a 1-hour workout 5 days per week, those 5 hours need to be blocked. right now, for the next month, visible, protected. If something is not on the calendar, it does not exist. Intentions are invisible. Calendar blocks are real. Next, commitment installation. What commitment device will you use? Who will hold you accountable? What will you risk? Make the commitment before you can talk yourself out of it. Call the friend. Transfer the money, make the public post, hire the trainer, register for the race. Do it during the design phase while motivation is high. Do not wait until the launch phase. You will rationalize your way out of it. Commit now. Phase 3, the launch, days 8 through 14. You have the design. Now you execute. But do not try to launch the perfect system. Launch a working system. Start with 50% of your design, the most critical forcing functions, the core time blocks, the primary commitment. Add complexity only after the basics are stable. Why? Because changing everything at once is overwhelming. Your life will resist. Your habits will fight back. Too much change too fast creates chaos, and chaos leads to abandonment. Start with the minimum viable system. Get momentum, build from there. For the first 7 days, focus only on consistency, not optimization, not perfection, consistency. Did you do the thing? Yes or no? That is all that matters. You committed to working out 5 times. Did you work out 5 times? If yes, the week was successful. Even if the workouts were not perfect, even if you did not enjoy them, you did the thing. Resist the urge to add more. Resist the urge to optimize. Stability first, optimization later. Also, during the first 7 days, implement the failure protocol. You will fail, probably multiple times. This is expected. This is part of the process. When you fail, do not spiral. Do not abandon the system. Execute the failure protocol. Note what happened. No judgment, just facts. I skipped the workout because I stayed at work late. Identify the gap in the system. Work running late is a predictable event. The system did not account for it. Modify the system. Add buffer time and calendar between work end and workout start. If work runs late, I still have time. Continue. The system is now stronger. It has been upgraded to handle this failure mode. Failure is data, not verdict. Learn, adjust, proceed. Phase 4, the iteration. Week 3 onwards. After the first 2 weeks, begin the weekly review process. Every Sunday, review the past week. What worked? What did not work? What forcing functions held? Which ones need strengthening? Make 1 adjustment per week maximum. Do not try to fix everything at once. Change 1 variable. Test for a week. Assess. Repeat. This is how you refine the system without destabilizing it. At the 30-day checkpoint, conduct a deeper assessment. Is this system sustainable? Can you maintain this indefinitely? If yes, continue. If no, identify the constraint and redesign. Maybe the time commitment is too high. Reduce the frequency but keep the structure. Maybe the forcing function is too intense. Dial it back to something sustainable. The goal is a system you can maintain for years, not a sprint you cannot sustain past 30 days. Do not abandon. Modify. The system is never wrong. It is just incomplete. Keep refining. At the 90-day checkpoint, the behavior should be approaching automatic. You should not be relying as heavily on willpower. The forcing functions should have trained the behavior into habit. This is when you can begin to reduce the intensity of some forcing functions. Gradually, carefully, but never remove them entirely. Maintenance is permanent. The forcing functions that built the behavior are the forcing functions that maintain the behavior. Here is the truth. Implementation is not inspiration. Implementation is engineering. It follows a protocol. It requires phases. It demands patience. You do not become disciplined in a day. You build a system that makes you disciplined over 90 days. Follow the protocol. Trust the process. The discipline is coming. Chapter 7. Failure Engineering. NASA does not hope rockets work. Hope is not part of their engineering process. They assume components will malfunction. They design backup systems. They run failure scenarios before every launch. They build rockets that can survive multiple simultaneous component failures. This is failure engineering, planning for failure, designing systems that survive failure, building redundancy so that when not if something goes wrong, the mission continues. And this is exactly what your discipline system needs. Because you will fail, not might fail. Will fail. You will miss a workout. You will break the diet. You will sleep through the alarm. You will skip the important work and waste time on distraction. This is not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. Systems that do not account for failure are systems that will collapse at the first failure. The goal is not to prevent all failure. That is impossible. The goal is to make failure non-fatal. Let me show you what usually happens when someone fails. The failure cascade. You miss one workout, just one. You planned to go Monday, but you did not. Work ran late. You were tired. You skipped it. Now you feel bad about the failure. You are disappointed in yourself, maybe a little ashamed. That bad feeling reduces your willpower for the next challenge. Negative emotion drains the same willpower resource you need for discipline. Tuesday arrives. You are supposed to work out again, but you still feel bad about Monday. And now you are dealing with the reduced willpower from that negative emotion. You missed Tuesday too. Now you have missed 2 in a row. The what the hell effect kicks in. I already missed 2. The week is ruined anyway. Might as well skip the rest. You miss Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. By the weekend, you have completely abandoned the goal. The system has collapsed. This cascade, from one failure to complete abandonment, is predictable. It happens to almost everyone who does not engineer against it. But it is preventable. Let me show you the failure engineering principles that prevent the cascade. Principle 1, the 90% rule. Design for 90% compliance, not 100%. If your goal is to work out 5 times per week, build in an expected miss. Plan for the week where you only go 4 times. 1 missed workout per month is in the plan. It is scheduled maintenance, expected variance. When the expected failure occurs, it is not a crisis. It was in the blueprint. The system accounted for it. Perfectionism is a failure mode, not a success strategy. Perfectionists set 100% targets. Then they fail to hit 100%. Then they feel like failures. Then they quit. 90% is excellence. A 90% is sustainable. 90% compounds into extraordinary results over years. Design for 90%. Principle 2, the bounce back protocol. Predefine exactly what you will do after a failure. Do not wait until after the failure to decide. You will be emotional. Your thinking will be compromised. You will make poor decisions. Decide now while you are calm and capable. Example, if I miss a morning workout, I will do a 20-minute evening workout instead. If I miss the evening workout, I will do a 10-minute workout before bed. The minimum viable action always happens. The protocol is decided in advance. After the failure, you do not decide what to do. You execute the pre-decided protocol. This removes the decision-making load when you are least capable of good decisions. Principle 3, the firewall system. Separate your goals so that failure in one area does not spread to others. You have multiple domains of discipline. Health, work, relationships, finance. Each domain has its own system, its own forcing functions, its own accountability. If you fail your diet, that failure is contained to the diet domain. It does not affect your exercise commitment. It does not affect your work discipline. Failure is firewall. The rest of the system continues. Without firewalls, failure spreads. You break your diet, so you skip the gym, so you procrastinate on work, so you snap at your partner. One failure cascades into total collapse. Firewalls prevent the cascade. Principle 4. The minimum viable action. For every goal, define the absolute minimum that counts as success. Full workout, 45 minutes in the gym. A minimum viable, 10 minutes of movement. A walk, body weight exercises at home, anything that keeps the streak alive. Full writing session, 2,000 words. Minimum viable, 100 words, 1 paragraph. Anything that maintains the identity of I am someone who writes daily. On bad days, you do the minimum. The streak survives. Momentum is preserved. Identity is reinforced. This is not lowering standards. This is engineering for reality. Reality includes bad days, days when you're sick, days when emergencies happen, days when you only have 10 minutes. The minimum viable action ensures that even on the worst days, you do not go to zero. And zero is the enemy. Zero breaks streaks. Zero damages identity. Zero creates the cascade. 1 is infinitely better than 0. Principle 5. The post-failure analysis. After every significant failure, conduct a brief analysis, not a guilt session, an engineering review. What happened? What system gap allowed this failure? What modification prevents recurrence? Example: you ate fast food 3 times this week. The goal was 0. What happened? I had back-to-back meetings that ran through lunch. I was starving. Fast food was the only option nearby. System gap. No backup plan for when meetings run through mealtime. Modification. Pack backup meal in car every morning. If meetings run long, meal is available. Fast food is not the only option. The system is now stronger. It has been upgraded to handle this scenario. No self-criticism, only system criticism. You are the engineer reviewing a component malfunction, not a defendant on trial for moral failure. This mindset shift is critical. Failure is system feedback, nothing more. Now let me show you one more critical concept: the recovery window. Research shows that the critical period after failure is 24 hours. If you get back on track within 24 hours, long-term success probability is not significantly affected. If you stay off track for 48 hours or more, collapse probability increases dramatically. The first 24 hours after failure is the battle. Win that battle, and you are fine. So engineer for it. The forcing function, a 24-hour alarm that goes off the day after a scheduled behavior. If you missed your Monday workout, the alarm goes off Tuesday at a specific time. Bounce back protocol. Execute replacement workout or minimum viable action. Required. The alarm removes the possibility of forgetting. It forces you to either execute the bounce back or consciously dismiss the alarm, which creates psychological friction against continued failure. Small intervention. Massive impact on recovery rates. Finally, let me show you the concept of anti-fragile systems. Fragile systems break under stress. Glass is fragile. Drop it, and it shatters. Robust systems survive stress. Steel is robust. Drop it, and it dents, but does not shatter. Anti-fragile systems get stronger from stress. Muscles are anti-fragile. Stress them through exercise, and they grow stronger. Your discipline system should be anti-fragile. Every failure should trigger a system upgrade. Every breakdown should lead to a breakthrough in system design. You fail, You analyze, you modify. The system is now stronger. Over time, your system has been stress tested against every failure mode you have encountered. It has upgraded to handle them all. This is anti-fragility at the system level. You will fail. Say it out loud right now. I will fail. Accept it. While you are calm, while you are capable of engineering. Then build the system that survives your failure. Build the bounce-back protocols that catch you when you fall. Build the firewalls that contain the damage. Build the minimum viable actions that prevent zero. Build the analysis process that upgrades the system after every breakdown. The disciplined life is not a life without failure. The disciplined life is a life where failure is an input to improvement, not a reason to quit. Engineer for failure, then failure becomes fuel. Part 4, the transformation. Chapter 8, the identity shift. There comes a point in the process, it might be month 3, it might be month 6, something strange happens. You are offered dessert, and you do not want it. Not that you resist it, not that you use willpower to say no. You actually do not want it. The craving is not there. The temptation is not there. You look at the dessert and feel nothing, or maybe mild interest, but not compulsion. The alarm sounds at 5 a.m. You wake before it goes off. Not from discipline, from preference. Your body has adjusted. You feel better waking early than sleeping late. You sit down at your desk at your scheduled deep work time. And you want to work. Not that you force yourself, you are actually engaged, interested. The resistance is gone. And the system has worked so well that it has changed who you are. The forcing functions have done their job, and now you no longer need them, at least not as much. This is the identity shift, and it is the ultimate goal of all of this engineering. Let me show you how this happens. There is a progression. Behavior becomes habit, becomes identity. Phase 1, weeks 1 through 4. Behavior is effortful. You are using forcing functions heavily. Every workout is a battle. Every healthy meal requires conscious choice. Every early morning is hard. The forcing functions are doing all the work. You are white-knuckling through the new behaviors. This is expected. This is the beginning. Stay here. Do not quit. Phase 2, weeks 5 through 12. Behavior becomes habitual. You are still using forcing functions, but you are not fighting as hard. The behaviors are becoming more automatic, less conscious effort required. The workout still requires showing up, but once you are there, the routine is familiar. The healthy eating still requires meal prep, but the prep is becoming routine. The early morning still requires the alarm, but waking is getting easier. The forcing functions are still necessary, but they are doing less heavy lifting. Habit is taking over some of the load. Phase 3, months 3 through 6, behavior becomes identity. This is the shift. You stop saying, I am trying to be someone who exercises. You start saying, I am someone who exercises. The behavior is no longer something you do. It is part of who you are. Each workout is a vote for, I am someone who exercises. Each healthy meal is a vote for, I am someone who eats clean. Each early morning is a vote for, I am someone who wakes early. The votes accumulate, hundreds of votes, thousands of votes. At some threshold, the votes tip the scale. The identity shifts. You are no longer acting like a fit person. You are a fit person, and fit people work out. Not because they have to, because that is what fit people do. This is the power of identity level change. It is self-reinforcing. The behavior maintains itself because violating the behavior would violate your identity. People generally act in accordance with their identity. Identity is one of the most powerful behavioral drivers that exists. So when your identity shifts from person trying to be disciplined to disciplined person, discipline stops requiring effort. It is just who you are. Let me show you the signs that the identity shift is happening. First sign, the behavior feels strange to skip, not strange to do. In the beginning, working out felt strange. It was not part of your routine. It required conscious effort and decision. After the identity shift, not working out feels strange. If you skip a day, something feels off. Incomplete, wrong. The behavior has become your new baseline. Deviation from it feels like deviation from yourself. Second sign, you begin to be annoyed when circumstances prevent the behavior. Before the shift, if something came up that prevented the workout, you felt relief. Great, I do not have to go to the gym today. After the shift, if something prevents the workout, you feel frustrated, annoyed, like something has been taken from you. The behavior has become something you want to do, not something you have to do. Third sign, you identify with the behavior when describing yourself. Someone asks about you, your answer includes the behavior naturally. I am a runner. I am a writer. I am someone who wakes early. You are not bragging. You are not trying to impress. You are just describing yourself accurately. And the behavior is part of that description. Fourth sign, the forcing functions feel unnecessary, but you keep them anyway. You do not need the commitment device anymore. You would do the behavior even without money on the line. You do not need the environmental modifications anymore. You would make the healthy choice even if junk food were available, but you keep the forcing functions in place because you are smart enough to know that the environment that built the identity maintains the identity. This is wisdom. Fifth sign, others begin to associate you with the behavior. When someone needs a workout partner, they think of you. When someone wants restaurant recommendations for healthy food, they ask you. When someone is trying to build discipline, they come to you for advice. You have become known for this behavior. It is part of your social identity, not just your self-identity. Now let me show you how to protect the new identity once it forms. The never zero rule. Even one day at zero threatens identity. If you are someone who exercises and you go a full day without any movement, the identity starts to erode. Not immediately, but the erosion begins. So on your worst days, do the minimum viable action, 10 minutes of movement, 1 set of push-ups, a walk around the block, anything above zero. The streak is not about achievement. The streak is about identity maintenance. I am someone who exercises, survives on a 10-minute walk when it must. The environment maintenance. As identity shifts, there is temptation to relax environmental controls. You are a healthy eater now. You have strong identity. Surely you can keep some ice cream in the house and not eat it. Do not. The environment that built the identity maintains the identity. Relaxed environment leads to relaxed behavior, leads to identity erosion. It is subtle, it is slow, but it is real. Keep the forcing functions in place, even when they feel unnecessary. The social reinforcement. Surround yourself with people who share the identity. If your social circle consists of people who do not exercise, who eat poorly, who wake late, your new identity will be under constant pressure. Not because they are bad people, because behavior is contagious. Norms are social. If your social circle exercises regularly, your exercise identity is reinforced. It is normal. It is expected. Expand your circle to include people who share the identity you are building. This is not abandoning old friends. This is adding new ones who reinforce rather than undermine. The regression risk. Identity is not permanent. It requires maintenance. Stress, life changes, disruption can erode identity surprisingly fast. You have a health crisis. You stop working out for 2 weeks. When you return, the identity has weakened. The behavior is harder again. You change jobs. Your routine is disrupted. The morning workout that was automatic now requires effort again. The person you were before the transformation is not gone. He is waiting. Any disruption is an opportunity for him to return. Humility about regression risk is protection against it. Never assume the identity is permanent. Always maintain the forcing functions. Always protect the behaviors that built the identity. The multiple identity stack. Once one identity shift is complete, begin the next. I am someone who exercises, plus I am someone who writes daily, plus I am someone who eats clean, plus I am someone who manages money wisely. Each identity supports the others. The discipline in one domain makes discipline in another domain easier. The stack becomes self-reinforcing. The goal is an identity that makes discipline indistinguishable from preference. You are not forcing yourself to do things you do not want to do. You are doing things you want to do because of who you are. This is the end game. This is the transformation the forcing function produces. But remember, the forcing function is not the destination. It is the vehicle. You use it to travel from who you were to who you are becoming. At some point, you arrive. The journey becomes home. The discipline becomes desire. But never forget what built you. Never fully dismantle the forcing functions that created the transformation. They are the foundation. The foundation remains even after the building is complete. This is the identity shift from effortful behavior to automatic habit to core identity. And it is available to you not immediately but inevitably. If you follow the protocol, if you build the system, if you maintain the forcing functions, the transformation is coming. Chapter 9. The engineered life returned to the man from Chapter 1, the one who could not wake at 5 a.m. for 6 years. It has been 18 months since he learned about forcing functions. His life is different now. His phone charges in the kitchen, not next to his bed. In the kitchen. If he wants to use his phone in the morning, he has to get out of bed. His alarm is across the room connected to a light that simulates sunrise. It starts glowing 30 minutes before the alarm sounds. His room gradually brightens. By the time the alarm goes off, he's already half awake. He has $200 at stake with a friend each month. If he wakes at 5 a.m., fewer than 25 days that month, his friend donates the money to an organization he hates. In 18 months, he has lost the money exactly once. In month 2, when he was still learning, never since. His gym clothes are laid out automatically because they never get put away. They cycle from body to hamper to laundry to floor next to bed. In the morning, they are always there. He puts them on without thinking. He wakes at 4:45 now, before the alarm, most days. Not because he changed, because he engineered change. The system works, and the man who could not for 6 years is now the man who cannot imagine any other way. This is the engineered life, and it is available to you. Let me show you what becomes possible. Every domain of life can be engineered. Health, wealth, relationships, creativity, rest. The same principles apply everywhere. Eliminate, add friction, commit, automate. The disciplined life is not lived through constant effort. It is lived through intelligent design. Once the architecture is built, you live in it. The house does the work. Here is what becomes possible when you engineer your life instead of hoping your life works out. Energy. When discipline is not draining willpower, willpower is available for creation, problem-solving, presence. Right now, you spend enormous energy resisting temptation, forcing yourself to do hard things, managing your own behavior. In the engineered life, that energy is freed. The system handles behavior. You handle creation. You have energy for deep work, for relationships, for hobbies, for presents, because you are not constantly fighting yourself. Consistency, the engineered system, produces the same results regardless of mood, motivation, or circumstance. You do not work out because you feel like it. You work out because the system makes not working out nearly impossible. You do not eat healthy because you are motivated. You eat healthy because that is what is available and prepared. You do not wake early because you are a morning person. You wake early because the forcing functions make sleeping late more difficult than waking. Mood is irrelevant. Motivation is irrelevant. The system runs independent of your internal state. This produces consistency, and consistency compounds. Compound results, small behaviors executed consistently, compound dramatically over years. One workout does almost nothing. 3 workouts per week for 5 years transforms your body entirely. 1 hour of focused work produces little. 1 hour per day for a decade produces expertise, wealth, and mastery. 1 healthy meal is irrelevant. 1 healthy meal per day for 10 years is the difference between vitality and disease. The engineered system produces the consistency that produces the compound results that produce the transformed life. Peace. The internal battle ends. You are not fighting yourself. You are expressing yourself. Right now, there is conflict. Part of you wants discipline. Part of you wants comfort. They fight every day, all day. This is exhausting. In the engineered life, the conflict diminishes. You have become the person your forcing functions shaped you into becoming. The discipline is your preference. The behaviors are your identity. You are not fighting yourself anymore. You are just living. This is peace. Internal alignment. Congruence between who you are and what you do. Now let me show you the timeline, because transformation takes time. 1 year of engineered discipline changes your body, your fitness, your energy, your appearance, your health markers. 3 years changes your career, your skills, your income, your professional reputation, your network. 10 years changes your life trajectory entirely, your wealth, your relationships, your influence, your legacy. The gap between the engineered life and the willpower life widens every year. Year 1, the difference is small. The person relying on willpower might even outperform you occasionally when they are highly motivated. Year 5, the difference is significant. You have been consistent. They have been sporadic. The compound results are becoming visible. Year 10, the difference is a different life. You have built something through consistent execution. They are still starting and stopping. This is the long game. And the engineered life wins the long game every time. But the engineered life requires maintenance. Let me show you the maintenance protocols. The quarterly audit. Every 3 months, review all systems. What is working? What has decayed? What needs upgrade? Systems degrade without maintenance. Forcing functions weaken. Environmental controls slip. Commitments lose their bite. The quarterly audit catches degradation before it causes failure. Schedule it. First day of every quarter. 2 hours. Review. Adjust. Upgrade. The annual redesign. Once per year, question everything. Are these still the right goals? Are these still the right systems? Life changes. You change. What was optimal last year might not be optimal this year. New job, new relationship, new city, new priorities. The system must change with your life. Annual redesign is not abandoning discipline, it is adapting discipline to new reality. The minimum effective dose. Over time, learn what forcing functions you truly need. Some forcing functions can be relaxed as identity solidifies. The behavior is now automatic. The forcing function is no longer necessary. Other forcing functions must remain forever. Remove them and regression begins. Learn the difference. Find the minimum effective dose of engineering that maintains the behavior, but always keep it slightly above minimum. Buffer against regression. Do not get cocky. Do not assume the identity is permanent without maintenance. Keep the forcing functions. Dial them back if appropriate, but keep them. Now let me issue the invitation. You now have the blueprint, the concepts, the protocols, the implementation framework. Information is complete. Only action remains. Tomorrow morning, begin the audit. Track your actual behavior for 3 days. By next week, launch the first system. One goal: forcing functions installed. Commitment made. In 90 days, you will not recognize your life. In a year, others will not recognize you. This is not hyperbole. This is what happens when engineering replaces hoping. But you have to start. You have to build. You have to implement. Reading this audiobook changes nothing. Implementing this audiobook changes everything. The choice is yours. You were never broken. You were never weak. You were just unengineered. A running default human software in an environment designed for distraction and indulgence. Now you know better. You know that discipline is not character. It is architecture. You know that willpower is not the answer. Design is the answer. You know that the life you want is not achieved through trying harder. It is achieved through building smarter. The forcing function is the tool that actually cuts steel. The engineered life is the result. The life where discipline is automatic, where the system does the work, where you become who you were always capable of becoming. Go now. Build. Engineer. Become. The forcing function awaits, and so does the life on the other side of it.